Okay, in this video I'm going to talk about gang stalking. Now, this is the Bond film From Russia with Love. And Bond is just ready to leave England. Of course, his little antics with Moneypenny, and he's headed to Istanbul. Now, this is all sort of the fun part of it. But eventually he's going to get on a plane and he's going to arrive in the airport in Istanbul. And that's where the gang stalking picks up. So like right here, he's just a regular, ordinary 007 spy. And just sort of a regular guy, a regular spy. Nothing really happening except Moneypenny's a little bit sweet on him and he's sweet on her. And he's headed to Istanbul. So that's where the gang stalking will begin. Transition. An ordinary individual that maybe has a little brush with the law or the phony law called the police or any phony organization can be under gang stalking. Now, gang stalking is when you are being observed, followed, and even tortured and tormented by obscure forces. Now, Bond thinks that he's completely alone there in the airport. He just met his contact, but that man with the mustache starts the gang stalking. The man in the car actually is part of the gang stalking too. He's going to pretend like he's good and helping Bond, but he's part of the gang stalking. Which means, if you're in the public, you can be followed. And he will be followed here by that individual and then by the other one. So he's going to dialogue here with the chauffeur, who's his contact, and they're going to talk a little bit about being followed. Okay? So out in the public, being followed, being observed by individuals who are trying to take on a very quiet, obscure role, but nevertheless observing their victim. They follow us, we follow them. You see, it's a game. It's all a game. But it can have very serious consequences for the individual who's being gang stalked. Now there's one of the men gang stalking him, meaning they're all going to do their best to A, observe him, B, get any communications from him or to him, and C, torture or torment him. To always have him in their eyes, so to speak. Now there's the guy gang stalking him, and he's following him. But it doesn't stop there, it continues. Okay, Bond is meeting with his contact, who's supposed to help him in Istanbul. And the man who's his contact will tell Bond about his sons. That the cab driver was his son, and then another son. And they're all part of a family. Now when they order this coffee in Istanbul, I believe there's some alcohol in it. I've never been to Istanbul, but I think the coffee has a lot of alcohol in it. So you'll see it'll be brought in, not a regular coffee cup like we know, but kind of a smaller cup, and that's probably because there's alcohol in it. Now they're trying to get this lector, which is a cipher machine, and I'll talk about that in another video. The old leftover from World War II, the Enigma machine type mentality. This film was created about 1963, so World War II is in the background. The Enigma machine is not really known really until about the early 1970s, where a book comes out and unveils that at Bletchley Park they were working on cracking the Enigma machine. There's the stalker, okay, and there's the other one. They're both determined to keep an eye on Mr. Bond. Okay, at first we think that guy is good, but he's evil. Notice the checkerboard floor again. The black and the white, the duality. Now notice the room number, 32. 32 is significant because that's the number of degrees in Masonhood. Not the York version of Masonhood or Masonry, but the more American version. Supposedly, they tell everybody there's only 32. But then there's a 33. And that's where you start to get into the real inner club. And only a 32-degree Mason can become a 33-degree Mason by invitation only. And that's where you get into going to the big Grand Lodge in Washington, D.C. and all of that jazz. Now, why 32, 33? Well, 33 is the number of the fallen angels. 1/3 went down with Lucifer. Now, he knows he's being gang-stalked, or possibly being gang-stalked. Now, there's gang-stalking, okay? Listening in on conversations, all right? Whether they be in a room or be on the telephone. Now, what else is he going to find? More evidence of being gang-stalked. In other words, there is an organized conspiracy against one individual. What is the reason or reasons? Well, that can vary. As now, once again, the telephone. That's an old telephone back in the 60s, early 60s. Now, more modernly, they have devices called stingrays. The stingray will intercept your cell phone conversation before it gets to the cell phone tower. Where at the cell phone tower it's encrypted, but the stingray will intercept it. So if a person or a group has a stingray, yes, they can listen in on all your conversations with wireless cell phone very easily. Now, back in the days when wireless cell phones did not exist, you had the ordinary, regular phones like you observed. Okay? Now that gentleman is gang-stalking him, but he's going to try to convince Bond that he's good. But he's not really good. He's really working for Spectre. Alright? And Bond is going to be gang-stalked while in Istanbul. Now, you don't have to go to Istanbul to be under gang-stalking. Okay? Now again, that's Spectre, and they're trying to fool the Russians and trying to fool the British. But really and truly, they're just evil in and of themselves. But they're behind a lot of the gang stalking. Now, what about you? What about me? What about your neighbor? What about your friend? Anyone could come under this system. Anyone. Now, why do I say anyone? If you go back to the phony baloney, nonsense, evil things called the Patriot Act. It sounds so wonderful. It sounds like you should agree with it right now. But you examine these documents and you'll find out They are documents to allow gang stalking on anyone. And do they have to have a reason? No. They can do it just for fun. What do you mean by that? Well, a lot of them involved in these organizations that are popping up everywhere, particularly under the Bushes, and then really highlighted more under the Obama nonsense. Anyone can be treated as a terrorist. And incidentally, that is what happened basically in the year 1933. Back to your 33. The third month, which is March, the third 3, which is 9, 369. March 9th, 1933 was basically the end of anything that had any potential of being what's called lawful. But now everything is legal. Fiction. Legal means fiction. Don't get confused. You think it sounds like it's great because it's legal. No, it's fiction. And so what happened was any traces of a lawful government were taken away because everything went bankrupt in the United States. Bankrupt. And every so-called citizen was basically under military rule. Now, so many people are like, oh, they're going to implement martial law. People, martial law happened in 1933. It's just that my grandparents didn't know about it. My parents didn't know about it. I didn't even know about it until just a few years ago. Let alone can I let my children know about it and my grandchildren. Can they come out of this spell? I don't know. I got out of it. How? Well, let me just put it real simple. By the grace of God. By the power of Jesus Christ. I was delivered from this world. I was delivered from the father of lies. And now my eyes can see. And I can do videos for you, or anyone. I'm not sure folks will understand them. I'm not sure folks will listen all the way through because so many people today have what you call a short attention span, and that's been intentional to create that. So if it goes beyond 5 minutes, they don't want to watch it. Well, if you got to this point in this video where you heard me just say that, let me just say unto you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for listening to me, and thank you for watching this video. End of video.